video. It's the most vulnerable video. This is a very personal video. It's the most vulnerable video I've ever made. And I'm going to talk about how I lost the majority of my life savings in a dating scam. The scam is called the pig butchering scam. And it's very much affected my 2023 and the last 3-4 months of my life in a very profound way. And I'm ready to talk about it and share it with you. And I want to share it for a number of reasons. In part, because I think it's just really healthy and healing to tell the story. And I also want to let people know more about how this works so that if it comes up in your life, that you can spot the signs and hopefully prevent it from happening to you. And if it has happened to you, I want you to know that you're not alone. I want to share some resources on what you can do, where to go to report it if this has happened to you, and also what I'm doing to help heal and recover in ways that my Thai massage practice has actually been invaluable in helping me. I want to be pretty brief about it, and I've actually got a Substack, a new blog where I've written this story out in more detail, and there's a link down below. And if you want to become a subscriber and find out more about the story, then you can head over there as well. But what happened to me is it all started around the holidays. Started just after or before Christmas, I can't actually really remember. And I was on the Facebook dating app, and I found this interesting looking woman, and I liked her and she liked me, and we started talking.
So wait, so this started on a Facebook app. This stuff, oh my days. Guys, on this channel, we make money. We show side hustles, how to make and keep money. But we're doing this because, especially if you're a young man or if you're a man, period, I don't care. Sooner or later, you're going to bump into women. Don't fall for it, because women in our day and age, they operate on a different, they're vicious and cruel. And a lot of women are out here trying to basically finesse you, we say, meaning they're trying, gold digger, they're trying to use you for your money. We're not going to work hard to build up wealth only to have it taken by some woman for no reason. So please pay attention.
I was on the Facebook dating app, and I found this interesting looking woman, and I liked her and she liked me, and we started talking, and we started getting to know each other, and it was all through text. And I guess that's really the first red light flag. She said the way, she said she was local, but she was away. She was going away really the day or the day after that we started talking, going to LA to visit with her cousins, and that the way that she liked to get to know people is through texting first, as a way of writing, is a way, her exact words were, this helps me to see into another person's soul, is through writing. And
oh my God, she is wicked as an evil. Wow.
And, it's very interesting because there's both an external part to this, that the person who was able to convince me and build that trust with me is very, very good at what she does. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's, they are getting so much better at understanding the psychology of what people are attracted to and looking for, and really speaking to that. But then there's also my internal reality and my own internal life. And so I was open to it. And I was open to it in part because I had a very loving long distance relationship for a couple of years during COVID, and I spent a lot of time getting to know that person. I mean, we did meet in person before we started our long distance relationship, but at the same time, a lot of our time together because of COVID was spent in a long distance and in a WhatsApp kind of relationship. We would share messages together all day. So, I was curious and I was open, and so that's how things started. And we just started sending messages and getting to know each other that way. And I was, she's Chinese, and she had a way with words that was very poetic and very interesting way of expressing herself. And as someone who's into Eastern styles of massage and into healing in general, just getting to know her was very interesting, and she presented herself as someone who also had a very strong business background. So, you know, in the cadence and in the back and forth that was going on at the beginning, when she told me that she had that business background, I just kind of let it out that, oh, well, maybe at some point you can help me to become a better investor, because that's something I'm looking to become better at doing. So, you know, she didn't actually have to reel me in very hard, because it truly was something that I was interested in. I managed to save some money over the last couple.
Oh my days, I feel the pain. So he basically walked into it, which makes it so much more natural, because you can't really detect it. Because, well, how is she a scammer? I'm the one who brought it up. She didn't tell me, oh, do you have money? Do you invest? I'm the one who mentioned it. And then, oh, this is bad. This is bad news.
Couple of years.
How much?
Especially as I was rebuilding from COVID and looking for a way or ways to invest. And I'd actually purchased a course a couple of months earlier and was planning to dig into that course, which was teaching me all about, you know, prudent ways of investing and building more of a nest egg, you know. So I just let it slip. And then a part of what was so, you know, deviously successful about her approach is that she didn't really say much about it until maybe 2 or 3 days later, and then came back to me with it and basically said, you know, I remember you were into that investment idea, and maybe I do have something to share with you. And so she shared with me, and what she shared with me was a way of doing crypto trading through short-term trading. So basically buying long or selling short and making trades that only last for, you know, a very short amount of time, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, etc. And then you see what kind of return you get in that amount of time. And the way she said it and was explaining it to me was that right now was a really perfect time to invest because of the conditions in the market, but it was only going to last for a little while.
Scarcity.
And asked me if I was interested. So, you know, and that wasn't the only thing that we were talking about. In fact, I would say even at that time, it represented, you know, maybe 5% or 10% of our conversation was around finance or around investing. We were just getting to know each other and building up a connection, or, you know, what certainly felt like a connection. And I said, sure. And essentially, she showed me that what I would need to do in order to make this work is that, you know, to support the technology of doing the short and long trading like that, it's not something to do on like Coinbase or Bitcoin or whatever the other like major exchanges are. She showed me a specific exchange that I would need to sign up to and join, and then we would transfer some money into that account and then see how it works. And so that's basically what we did. And I also happened to have a little bit of experience trading, so I had an exchange account already set with one of the bigger names, and then from there it was really pretty simple to just set up the other account on another platform and transfer some money from point A to point B. And she, you know, I had told her how much I had in that account, and she said, you know, I really am concerned about your safety. I don't want to do anything risky, so let's just start with a small amount. She suggested I take half of that and that we try. And so that half was about $3,500, and that's what I started with.
Oh my days. This one we're saying, man, you have to become better. We're not doing all of this, working super hard to just blow it, you know? And you have to have your guards up. I don't care who you're talking to online, whether you see them or not. You have to think to yourself, there are wicked people out there ready to destroy you. This seems so genuine. I can imagine putting myself in that situation. You would sort of doubt and think, I mean, I'm the one who brought it up though. So what, like, you know? And then these professionals, they're good because they can take time. They're very patient because they know it's worth it. If they're able to scam 10 grand out of you, even if it takes 5 months, it's worth it. You know, who's making 10 grand in 5 months in today's generation, like where, you know, cost of living and all of this, normal basic 9 to 5. I feel so bad.
And essentially, she would tell me exactly how much to trade and at the exact right moment, because she had some kind of knowledge through her own knowledge of Bitcoin, and she had on her computer basically connected to the Bitcoin network, and she had a mentor. And so, this is all part of that backstory that I would say if you want to learn more about, you can go to my blog and explain it in more detail. But that was basically it, that she would tell me the amounts to trade, and I would do it. 2 minutes later, I would get a return. And it was amazing, essentially every time that I did a trade, it was working out, and I would get like a 10% return in 2 minutes. And so, in about an hour's worth of setting this up and doing the trading, my $3,500 had become $4,200 or $4,300. And I was like, wow, I've never made money like this before. And it's just felt like such a gift, and she felt like such a gift. And, I was on cloud nine, really. And that's how we ended it that night. And she said that for her, she does these kinds of trades for herself every, 2 or 3 times a week. And she was interested in sharing it with me, in part because, in getting to know each other, she was excited about my career and having a family and what I would do with the money. And she was someone who was looking for a student, that she had amassed her wealth and had done really well for herself, and now was very excited about sharing that. And again, as a teacher, I could relate to that, because I know that I've been gifted with a practice in Thai yoga massage, and sharing that and finding people who are truly passionate about the work and being able to teach them and share it and see them flourish with it is one of the great gifts of my life. So, like I said, I, in a lot of ways internally, I happen to be a really good person to get excited and for her to really succeed at her job, because I had things going on in my life. I had stuff that had happened in my own past that made me pretty susceptible to it, and I trusted her, and so that first night was that much money. And then we took the rest of the money from that crypto account. And then, within a few days, essentially, I had probably profited $5,000 or $6,000. And I was just, the decision was like, do I go into, I had other savings that I had been building over the period of years. And do I take from that and invest it and see if I can turn it into something more? And so I did. And
how much?
Within 3 weeks, I thought I had actually made about $45,000, and
oh my days,
I was blown away, because for me that is just life-changing wealth and prosperity, and what I could do with that, to help pay for my daughter's college, to help build my business, etc. And and so even if this was only going to go on for a couple more weeks, because as she said, it was a short-term thing, this was just a golden parachute. That's what it felt like. And I was also, of course, very excited about her.
I'm really intrigued as to how much more did he add. Hopefully he shares that down the line, because we're about halfway through, so which is very good content wise. But I'm just so sad for the guy, because it's so unfortunate. And this is fairly recent as well. There's 6,000 comments, so we're going to go through the comments. Stay tuned for that as well.
Parachute, that's what it felt like. And I was also, of course, very excited about her as a person and getting to start to build a life with this person. So at this point I started telling other people, and the first person I told was just genuinely excited for me. And it just, as I was saying, I'm just like, I have the craziest dating story for you, and here's what's going on. And then the second people I told, they were equally excited, but they were skeptical. And, truthfully, I was skeptical as well. It's not like I just completely bought into, is this real? I tried to research it. I Googled things. I was checking out short-term and long-term trading. It all seemed like a thing, and a thing that really exists in the world of investing. I attempted, when I had only invested a small amount of my money into the exchange, to see if I could, or really when I made that first investment, to see if I could take money out. And I did a little test with a small amount, and that worked for me as well. So, I didn't really suspect it until I had shared with the second set of friends what was going on. And it took a few minutes of them Googling and checking it out. And essentially that's where they pulled up the pig butchering scam, which essentially it was a description of exactly what was going on in this, you know, that you know, I mean, I don't gonna repeat the whole story, but basically, you know, and I can post a link, I will post a link to that below where you can see it's exactly as it's described. And, you know, the I hate the image, but it's true, you know, they build you up and build you up, and then it's like they cut your head off, you know, and essentially that's it. And then your whole life savings is gone in my case, you know, and your heart is broken, and that's, you know. So once I found out about it, I tried to extract a lot of money from that exchange, and it didn't work.
Oh my days! Oh, the headache you'll have, and the tears, like, and the panic. Picture yourself in his situation, the panic you'd have. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And he doesn't look like a young guy, so all that time, the savings, the 9 to 5, the saving, sacrificing, whilst others are going on holidays, you're like, okay, no, I'm just gonna, you know, tomorrow will be a brighter day, tomorrow will be better. To only then, this is why, yes, so many stories in the past, people who were defeated, they were defeated by women. If you can't get the guy, target the women. You know, if it was a guy that was doing this, maybe he would have been able to call it out. But since it was a woman, there's love involved. Like, you know, you think, you genuinely believe you're building a life with this person. In fact, let me know in the comment section down below. Can you relate as to what I'm talking about? A lot of this stuff works on men because it's a woman. So it's like, oh my days. Oh, this is bad.
Not only that, but the customer support on the other end basically said I had been flagged as a risk, and so to help make sure that I'm a real person, I would need to put in another $10,000 as a security deposit. That would be returned to me along with my money. So, you know, I wasn't gonna fall for that at this point, and I tried to I was still in communication with the quote-unquote woman who was, you know, that I'd been getting to know, to see if maybe she could help me in some kind of way, because I'm like, well, this is kind of the only thing I can think of to really get the money back. And so I'd asked her, you know, can you lend me the $10,000? And, you know, because she had actually said that the same thing had happened to her, and she got the money back and etc. So I'm like, okay, great. Well, you can lend me the money.
And that's probably her trying to trick you and bait you into putting in another 10 grand, because no, the same thing happened to me and I got my money back. So you should just do whatever they tell you to. You see the evil.
And then I'll put it in there, and then I'll give you that money back. I'll even give you interest. I don't really care, just as long as I can get my money back. But of course, you know, shortly thereafter, I didn't hear from her again. And this was my situation. And it was a real, you know, to say it was a shock to the heart, a shock to the system, is almost underselling what it was like when I first found out about this. And, you know, so that was at the end of January, and here I'm making this video at the beginning of May. So we're about 3.5 months into the healing and recovery phase, and, you know, moving on into this next phase. So, you know, the beginning thing for me was just the amount of shame and the amount of pain that it all brought up was overwhelming, and it was just such a unique kind of pain. I mean, I've had my heart broken, I've had my father pass away, you know, I've dealt with death, I've dealt with loss, but this was so different. You know, this was a huge violation, as well as, let's say, having my heart broken because I actually thought there was a real thing happening between me and this woman. And you know, just like what that money represented, that I, you know, not necessarily the money that I had earned in interest, but all the principal that, you know, is now gone, puts me in such a precarious situation. And it's also, you know, money that I'd spent literally years and years saving, and now it was, you know, all of a sudden gone. So what I wanted to do was very much like curl up into a ball and just kind of disappear. And I guess that was my first instinct. And I also recognize, you know, from being a healer and being someone who's learned from a lot of loss, that that's not necessarily going to serve me in the long run. You know, maybe it's going to serve me in the short run And it's not even a bad thing to do, because when the pain is so overwhelming, when the fear and everything else that's coming up feels so overwhelming, you know, I believe very much in, it's important to find comfort in the discomfort, or as I say, comfort in uncomfortability. But there's also only so much you can take. And when you're in the first waves of it, and literally waves are crashing into you and all around you, then my process is to face it and face the fear and face the pain to the highest degree that I can, but also to be kind to myself. And this is actually also what I'm writing about in this blog, and what I'm sharing here is, you know, this is the story that happened to me, but I also, you know, it's an unfolding story. And part of my first feelings, is, as much as I wanted to curl up into a ball, is that I recognize, like, you know, it's the same binary choice I think that I've faced in other instances when my heart has been hurt and broken so much, is, you know, do I retreat, and do I build up a wall, and do I get skeptical and hate in my heart and towards the world, or do I find a way to still stay open and essentially, you know, not let my spirit get broken? And I'm choosing door number 2. You know, I'm choosing healing methods and putting a foot forward every day to not let my spirit get broken, and beyond that, to let
So let's see what, because I'm assuming the rest is just him mentioning how he got over it, and I'll tell you how exactly, down to a T, how to get over it. You can't, essentially. You just have to accept that this happened to you, and what can I learn from this? But we're gonna go through the 6,000 comments, but you have to accept, like, how, when, how did this start? What could have changed? You have to analyze the situation and see, can I prevent this from ever happening again? And the moment you realize it's your fault, it's you. Because had you have won, whose fault would it have been? It would have been your fault still. So meaning, if he made 100 grand and ended up saving it and it was actually legit, he would be getting all the props. Wow, you're such a genius. I can't believe I took the chance and it paid that big. But since the opposite happened, you also have to accept it's your fault. And that is the beginning of healing. That is when you truly say, okay, you know what? It's my fault. But the healing won't take place when you blame others, like, oh, how could she do this? Like, you know, how did she say it's all your fault? Especially as a guy, it's all your fault. Okay? It rained outside, but you could have brought an umbrella. It's your fault. So grateful for the kind. Okay, so that's him. Okay, cool. As a retired combat Marine, I want to tell you that was that as what you are doing is just as important as any warrior on the battlefield. You are waging warfare against these criminals and terrorists in a digital battlefield. You are defending and protecting the most vulnerable of society against these predators, which is true. Making a video about it, so it makes sense. Keep up the good work. And okay, cool. Outstanding work, Gluten Cracker. Is that his name? Okay. So who's Gluten? Brad Gluten Cracker. All right, cool. I'm thrilled to see that these despicable individuals, it's our responsibility to shield the general. Okay, cool. That's just would like that anyways, because just props. Anytime a woman refuses to talk to you on the phone and insists on only texting, yep, run away immediately. 1,000,000,000%. 1,000,000,000%. Because that is a red flag. Because you could be talking to some dude, and most likely he was. That I'm sure that wasn't a chick in this video. That was a guy. But we never know. It could. I'm not saying women can't be scammers. Equal rights. So women can equally be scammers. You get the gist. Something like this happened to a friend of mine. He felt so ashamed. I know the shame that you feel. You feel so stupid. He told friends each little part, and yeah. It is upset him so much. He could. Whoa. Wow. I'm not even gonna say that word because the YouTube video will get down. But that's devastating, man. Wow. There's real human beings' lives at risk here. So that's what I'm saying. We're making all this money. We're learning all these side hustles, investing, and all of these things, not to be able to lose just like that. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, I think we're going to end it there, because that just took me by surprise. I was not expecting that. But look, massive shout out to Shay Thai Massage. And yeah, I hope, you know, maybe through the YouTube ads and stuff, you gain some of the money back, and you learn this as a major lesson. You know, don't easily trust people. Don't always see the best in people, because people don't see the best in you, and this world is essentially just wicked. Like the video, comment and share this, because this is a good lesson. Share this to someone. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless.